I'm interested in the area of methane hydrates. I think that we have great potential up north. We've been working with the Japanese government, have been engaged in a study with Japan. The program for methane hydrate research is proposed at $5 million for FY14. This is far less than what the Department needs to follow up on the test that was done back in January of 2012 up in Prudhoe Bay. Japan has conducted its own follow-up test and reported some substantial progress in being able to tap methane hydrates. And it's not just, of course, off of Alaska that we have enormous potential for methane hydrates. We've got clearly in the Gulf of Mexico. So kind of a broad question, and then ask you to focus it down. First, in terms of your commitment to and all of the above, when we're talking about the Fossil Energy Department and the focus on all fossil fuels, whether the commitment is there to be an advocate for all of the fossil fuels, not only those that are in favor today, like natural gas clearly, but how we're able to access our coal, our oil, and perhaps the more experimental sources like methane hydrates, oil shale, and then if you could speak a little bit to the methane hydrates.
Well, thank you very much, Senator, for that question. And I think that as some of your comments articulate, ours truly is an all-of-the-above strategy. I mean, I've had an opportunity to spend some time talking about our historic investment in carbon capture and sequestration, which is primarily aimed towards ensuring that coal-fired power generation remains a relevant part of the clean energy economy of the future. Another part of the portfolio, which I've actually managed as the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Oil and Natural Gas, is the project that you mentioned, the initiative to investigate the viability of producing natural gas from methane hydrate formations. Just last year, I signed a memorandum of agreement between the Department of Energy and the State of Alaska. I signed that with Dan Sullivan, who at the time was the Commissioner for the Alaska Department of Natural Resources, which for us was a real model of collaboration between Federal government and State government, and also working with international governments. The government of Japan partially funded the test that we did in Alaska back in 2012, and working with the private sector. The methane hydrate well that we drilled back in 2012 was drilled in collaboration with Conoco. So we continue to think that these projects are incredibly important, which is why excuse me, while we're continuing to collaborate with the State of Alaska. When I was in Alaska just a couple of weeks ago, the Department of Natural Resources issued a press release in which it took a chunk of acreage, pulled it off of its leasing plan, and reserved that for the Department of Energy and the Department of Natural Resources to collaborate on future methane hydrate research. So we're taking steps to make sure that we advance those projects. We're looking for novel ways of pushing forward on the technology. And if confirmed in this role, I commit to working with you and this committee to make sure that that research has the maximum chance of being successful.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, because it is an area that is somewhat overlooked. And if it's not discussed, I know Senator Akaka and I had worked on advancing the issue of methane hydrates and how we can better understand what it is that we have, and how best to access it, recognizing that there are real challenges with accessing, particularly in an Arctic environment, and the environmental challenges that we face there. But I appreciate your background to it, and understand that as we try to establish some budget priorities in budgets that are growing skinnier all the time, it's important to have an advocate who knows and understands what the potential can be for us not only from a national perspective, but working cooperatively with some of our partners overseas.